Okay, hello everyone. This is Rishabh Kotiyal. I will be the speaker on today's webinar, which will be on your identity. Now, first of all, let me just start with my introduction. So I will give the quick introduction to you guys. Okay, so myself, Rishabh Kotiyal, and I am working with InfosecTrain as a cloud security instructor, and I have more than 8 years of experience, and I have different certification as well. I have done my masters as well in the computer science engineering. I have bit of the experience in the research as well, where I was working with the wireless sensor network. So my thesis were on that particular thing. Now, I was pretty much interested in the cybersecurity field, since my college time. So I joined this field, and since then I, start working as a pen tester, and from there, move ahead and just move toward the cloud itself because it was quite intriguing. And I have done different certification like AZ 500, 900, 104, MCT, the new security series. I have completed SC 200, your SC 900. Okay, I am MCT means Microsoft Certified Trainer as well. I am also a CEI, which is certified, your EC Council instructor. I have done, your CEH network, your CND, your ECSA, your CHFI, EC, and your different certification from the EC Council as well, and from the your CompTIA as well, which is Security Plus, Pentest Plus, CYSA Plus. Okay, so few more as well. Some of the certificate I have done in the multi-cloud networking as well. So this is a bit brief about myself, and today we are going to discuss more and more about the identity over here. So without any delay, let's just move ahead towards that our certification. So today's webinar is presented by the InfosecTrain, and as we most of you will be familiar with us. We are established back in 2016, and one of the I would say finest security and technology training consulting company. We provide different cloud IT service related, cloud security and IT related trainings all over the different domains itself. And I'm pretty much sure that most of you guys are familiar with us, and many of you are. I can see many name which is familiar in here in the attendees. So I know that you guys are pretty much familiar with us. Let's just move ahead, and we will be talking about the we are, let me just tell you one more thing, that we are the global learning partners of the different vendors as well, official partners. And today we are going to talk about the identity. So in today's small 1 hour webinar, what we are going to discuss about the few things, or discussing things like the what is zero trust methodology. This is just the highlights that what we are going to cover. Although few more things are going to be there. We'll be talking about the zero trust methodology. We'll be talking about cloud-based identity solutions. We'll be talking about the applying the multi-factor authentication where there is the options, and services in Azure Active Directory. So I'll be taking the bit of the example from your Azure Active Directory to show you that how that cloud-based identity is going to work, right? Now, let's just move ahead, and first, we will be starting with something which is your concept of security, compliance, and identity. Now, when we are talking about this particular concept, today we are going to talk about the identity. So identity, it is rising as a new security pillar. So when I'm talking about the pillar, so why when we are talking about the security pillars, so I remember when I was in college, first time I learned about the security itself, there was particular mention, I think that was the very first page of my book, where they were mentioning that there are the 3 basic pillars of security, and they were talking about what? CIA. And this is not our America's, that spy agency that you must have seen in movies, no matter which region you are. If you have seen some Hollywood movies, you will be pretty much familiar with the CIA, right? And this is not that particular CIA. I'm talking about your confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, when we are talking about, these are going to be the three basic pillars of your security, and this concept was given way back, I think, 60s somewhere. First time when this topic or this thing was discussed, it was the around the 60s. Now, these three things, I think most of you are familiar, because all the time, whenever you are going for any security trainings, people, they generally start with the same CIA. So what is CIA? So few pointers I have written over here as well, like confidentiality refer to the need to keep confidential sensitive data such as customer information, password, or financial data. So if I have to explain this, I will be saying that this is a fundamental principle of keeping information and communication private and protected from the unauthorized access as well. So, what could be your confidential information? It could be a trade secret. It could be my personal records, like where I'm living right now. Okay. There could be it could be my health record. Okay. It could be my taxes, that, if I'm doing the taxes, what taxes I'm doing. And if you're working with the government agencies like NASA, ISRO, you're working with the FBI, any government agency, federal, state. So, or even if you're working in the military, so military secret, government secret, all these are some of your confidential information. And you will try to control the confidentiality with the concept of, things like the steganography, encryption, access control, these kind of a thing. So, I have just this diagram here. Next thing that what we are going to discuss is, bit looking into the encryption as well, just to give you the idea. Right. Now, second thing, second concept in here is going to be the integrity. And integrity is very simple to understand. So when I'm saying that what is integrity, integrity will be like this. Okay, I can see a few messages are popping up in the chat box. So let me just pick any one of you as, random example here. Let's say I'm sending message to Ian over here, and I'm saying, hi Ian, how are you? And what is happening is, someone in between, they intercepted that message and they changed that message that, okay, Ian, you are not authorized to speak, please shut up. Okay, something like that. And it become very rude. While I was trying to say, I was being polite and I was saying, hi Ian, how are you, it's nice to see you, someone changed that thing. So someone has done what? Someone has changed my data in between. Now, this is the another fundamental principle, integrity, which is talking about keeping the organization information accurate, free of error, and without any unauthorized modification. This will be your integrity, right? So, a very simple example, like I have seen some movies, and even I have done, I have dreamed about the same thing, that one day I will be hacking into my college system and changing my grade. So while we are talking about all this particular, okay, we were at the integrity, so I will repeat myself that, I was giving the example of Ian, that I want to communicate with the Ian and send a simple message like, hi Ian, how are you? Okay. And someone in between changed that thing. Someone in between changed it to the, that become, I was being polite, being friendly with the Ian, and someone changed that message to that, Ian, you have no authority to talk with me, and just, never message me. So it become a change it to the rude. So that is, someone has changes the your your message in between, and that is means tampering with the integrity. So when we are talking about the integrity, issues over here, so this is another fundamental principle of keeping all your organization's information accurate, free of error, and without any unauthorized modification. So a simple example, like I was giving, that in college time, I was always dreaming, to change my grade, to go ahead and change the, my grades on this, college server. So that is something that would be your particular, what I would say, that would be a particular your tampering with the integrity, right? So integrity is typically going to be controlled through your hashing, right? Certificate or the change controls. Through that, you will be, your maintaining the integrity over there. And for this, I'll be talking a bit about the hashing itself as well. Going ahead, hashing algorithm, which is having a good use over here. Then the third pillar in the CIA was your availability. So availability is another fundamental principle which makes sure that computer system, they operate continuously and authorized person can access the data what they needed. Now, a simple example is that if you are an authorized user, you have created an account on a simple YouTube, or let's just say YouTube is a bit something that you can use without creating an account. I would say if you have created account like on the Facebook, on the Instagram, okay, Snap, TikTok, whatever you guys are using, okay, you have created that account. So you would be wanting that whenever you want to access the data, your data, you want to access that server, it should be available to you. Now, if attackers, they will be doing attack like simply a e-commerce website. Okay, so whenever there is a sale, the sales are going on. So let's say that a lot of traffic was there, attackers, but they increase the traffic and they crash that particular website. So it is no more available to you guys, right? So what was it? It is the availability. And we try to go with the redundancy concept of something like the redundancy and your load balancer to make sure that your availability is intact. This was a very, very basic concept of your CIA. Now, when we will be talking about these things specifically, so I was talking about the, let's just go ahead and let's just talk something. So let's just move ahead. If audio issues are sorted out, let's just move ahead and let's just go to the something different where we'll be discussing the encryption. So when we are talking about the encryption, I think everyone will be familiar that two type of encryptions are there, symmetric and asymmetric. In symmetric, you have a single key, which we call the secret key. It is used for the encryption and decryption itself. And, we have the algorithms like if we, I would say, uh, blowfish, right? Twofish. We have something like your DES, triple DES, right? These are some algorithms that we use in the your symmetric encryption. In asymmetric asymmetric encryption, what we use, we have the two key pair. One is public key, another is the private key. So when we are talking about this public and private key pair, so in this one, what usually do happen is that we have the as we say key pair. So one key is being used for the your one key is being used for the encryption and another key is being used for your decryption. That would be your asymmetric encryption. So asymmetric encryption bring one more thing, that is your concept of the signature. Okay, because we have the two key pair, due to this we can go ahead and have one more concept which is called your non repudiation. Okay, and that non repudiation is your, when we are talking about just signing, repudiation is denying anything, and non repudiation means you cannot deny the same thing. So if I know one day I will say that I have sent Praveen a message, right? I have sent a Praveen a message and later I am denying that I haven't send that particular message. That would be the your repudiation. And non-repudiations are major that you will be taking. Like a simple example, you go to a shop, you purchase something and later you deny that I haven't purchased anything from there, I never visited there. So they have a CCTV camera which is saying that what is the you were there on that particular day. That is the non-repudiation, and it is all possible due to this public and private key pair, right? So you can encrypt with any of the key, right? If I'm encrypting anything with the public key, it can be decrypted with the private key. If I'm encrypting anything with private key, it can be only decrypted with the public key. So one key you will be using to encrypt, and its pair will be used to decrypt it, right? This is the your asymmetric encryption over here. Then there is hashing, and in simple term, hashing is like your one-way traffic. One-way traffic means if you will hash something, it is hashed permanently, right? So hash use an algorithm to convert original text into a unique fixed length hash value. Okay, so remember this thing, unique fixed length value is something that is important. Okay, so means if even I have 1 TB of data, it will be giving me a same fixed length of the hash. If I am having that 500 MB data, it will be giving me the same hash. Okay, so this is something that you have to keep in mind. It is deterministic, means if I'm encrypting, let's say there is Rajiv, right? So if I encrypt Rajiv's name with the MD5, so what will happen? It will be, always same, like a hash $3 5, not. So always with the MD5 Rajiv with the capital R and all the small letter, it will be same. Even if I made a small change here, like I use a small R and rest of the same thing is this, right? If I use MD5, the whole hash will change. Okay, so it is deterministic. The same input produce the same output. A unique identifier is always associated with the data, right? So this is bit that is there. Then there is another concept in the security, because we are talking about the security first of all, right? That is defense in that. And this kind of architecture you might have seen with this something which is called the, some people call it the layered security as well. So, you have the different layer of security. If attacker has to go through, they have to go through multiple layer of your security. If attacker wants to get the, hands on the data, he has to go through the different layers. There will be physical security, an outer layer, I can say this will be the, your policies, okay, and operation policy, day-to-day policy, that how particular person should be doing things. Then there should be the physical policies. Then there will be the identity and access management. Okay, then particular identity that you will be using, you will be having particular permissions. Then there will be the parameters. So parameter security will be like firewall. First you have to break through that particular thing, go through there, right? Then there will be the network security solutions that you have deployed onto the different system. Then on the compute, your system, it is already having some different kind of the let's say anti malwares, and you have you are sending the data, collecting the data through the IDS, IPS, and then sending it, apply the same tool. You are doing threat hunting, and just all the things are there, and they just got the detection that someone is trying to break in or created a backdoor, some bad activity happening over there. Then there is application security, the application that you are using. That application can be having the, a simple example, a web application firewall. Okay, that application is during the coding you have used the secure coding methodologies over there. There is a web which can understand the what kind of the application attack is going on. And then there is data which in itself will be in the encrypted. So if someone has to do the attack, it has to go through the different layer of security one after another, and then finally get their hands on the particular data that is there. Now, what are the some common threats? So if we are talking about the common threats, quickly, let's just go over them. I know most of you will be familiar with this. There is things like the data breach, right? Like people are using phishing, spear phishing, different scams, SQL injection, malware, and stealing your data. Not only password, bank detail, but your interest, what you are, love to do, okay, and all these kind of things. Then, your PIIs, your PHI, personally identifiable information, personal health information. Then it will be something like your PII, PHI, your SPIs, okay, your financial data, okay, your sensitive personal information. SPI is sensitive personal information. So people will try to steal these kind of things as well, right? Now, there is going to be your dictionary attack, where in simple word, dictionary attack are, here we are combining these terms with the brute force. So it is kind of an identity attack where hacker will attempt to steal an identity by trying a large number of known password. So they will be combining, like, let's just go ahead with the RK. They try something like the, password password at the rate 123 QWERTY, right? Different combination that is there. There will be the ransomware attack, which is a kind of a malware which will be encrypting your file. And then in term, if you want your files back, right? So they will be asking that you have to pay us ransom on the Bitcoin or something like that. And then there is this DOS attack, which kind of going to impact your availability, right? And it is the same example, like I was saying, that attacker, they start doing attack on the, any e-commerce website, so that it is not available for the users over here, right? So when we are talking about these things, so uh, DOS attack, we have already seen, talk about the e-commerce, like Amazon web server, someone do the lot of, send a lot of traffic, and it just goes down, simply goes down. That would be a disruptive attack where you are impacting, DDoS attack, where your availability is impacted. Then there is ransomware. Okay, ransomware, I think most of you must have heard of the example of the WannaCry ransomware, attack in the past, right? These things, they do happen. And data breaches, we keep hearing that, the data of this company, it was on sale, and the data was leaked for, like in India, there was the Truecaller, there was a big basket, and the different vendors whose data got leaked over the time, right? So now, what has changed in the last 2 years? So in the last 2 years, so earlier what used to happen, we used to have a very nice on-premise, office, office centers, and our network was deployed there. So you were having the network security, you were having first line of defense as the firewall as well. You were having the proxies deploys over there. You were having the, DLP solutions applied over there. You were having IDS, IPS, different solutions, security solutions there. You were having your internal network, okay, which you have segmented, for example. Now, with that, there were devices, right? People were coming, sitting, connecting to the network. Okay, there were devices. So all the traffic that was going through it, where it is going, how it is going, right? You might be having some, let's say, file share server where all the data files are being stored. So all the data was, in your vicinity. You were just going ahead and working with this. But last 2 year has forced people into the work mode, which is now work from home, right? So what happened? First of all, these users are now movable. So someone is traveling, right? So you must have seen people are doing what? I was reading a news that a group of few people in India, what they did, they travel from one location to another location all by cycle. It was around thousands of kilometers. So from one place to another place. So what they were doing, they were going and doing work. They were stopping at the places where they were having good network connection, and from there they were going ahead and you know uh, just uh, let's say working during the whole whatever their work hour was. Then they start cycling to other particular location. So your user become movable, their device become movable. Now your data that you were having on the particular on premise only, your infrastructure that was only on the premise, now it is on the cloud, right? Means cloud. And most of the time there will be the your this will be a public cloud service provider. Means this will be on the public CSP, cloud service provider. So this will be on the multi-tenant system. Multiple users are there, right? So now what is happening? Your data is also movable. It is not stored over there. So all these solutions that you have implemented at a particular time. So it's kind of not, I will not say that completely useless, but because neither the user nor the devices nor your data is on that particular location, everything will become movable. So we also start thinking that what could be the different solution. And if I'm just talking in terms of the cloud, the example that I'm giving, guys must have heard something like about like the CASB, cloud access security broker, which can work as a proxy, which can check that what you are doing, okay, where the traffic is going, can work as the DLP solution, can work as proxy as well. Different features it has, right? And with this thing, what also start happening here, because it is on the public cloud, so hackers are also sitting here. So attackers, they have find a new attacking surface, that where they can attack, how they can attack. So this is something that was a new challenge during this time. And we start using microservices, small services, so different even in the cloud. If I will say, most of the organization, they are consuming data as the SaaS format, software as a service. So either they are using something like the Microsoft 365, Google Drive, okay, Salesforce, okay, different options that are there. So they are consuming these services as a software where they don't have the whole control as well. Now, because your services, your infrastructure, they are all become movable. So to prevent those three property, confidentiality is still, if let's say my data is something that is residing in that cloud server, in this cloud I have created a file share service. Like in Azure, in storage account, you can create a file share service. I have created that file share service. I want it to be protected. I want this data to be confidential. I want its integrity to be maintained, and I want it to be available. Now, because these different services, 365, Salesforce, everything is on the cloud now. Now, due to this factor, in today's scenario, identity is start becoming more and more important. And this is where your zero trust methodology is something, a new kind of a concept that come here, right? In the, not, I would say not in the market, but yes, it is from a long time there. And people now start focusing on something that is your particular zero trust methodology. And as name is saying, so you normal in your day-to-day life, you must have seen people saying the same thing: I have zero trust on you. So when something, you are saying about the zero trust, so what I'm going to assume, so this methodology is saying to me that assume that everything is open and untrusted, network. Even whatever your resources, even in your organization as well, whatever resources you have behind the firewalls, okay, of your organization's network, they are also untrusted. No one, you can trust no one. So simply it has simple motto: trust no one. And that's why this principle, it zero trust methodology, it work on this whole model, it work on this principle: trust no one and verify everything. Okay, so attackers, they have now ability to bypass any conventional access control. Okay, so you cannot trust your organization's network no longer. So how you will be strengthening the security? So it is, this is something that you have to implement, that never trust anyone. I always assume that there is always going to be a breach. Like a simple example is that username and password, they are not going to be enough. So what I am going to implement with this, because I'm not trusting username password, so I implemented multi-factor authentication over there. So it provide additional check. Instead of just directly giving you the access of the device in the corporate network, you need to just go ahead and apply the multi-factor authentication as well. Now this zero trust model, it has three guiding principles. Okay, so it will tell you that how security is implemented, right? And these three are your verify explicitly first, least privilege access second, and third, assume breach. Okay, so when I'm saying that this will be helping you to strengthen your security, so whatever data points you have, on the basis of those data points, you have to authenticate and authorize, including the, and you have to use things like what is user's identity, what location it is, uh, what kind of services or workload it want to use, or it is using which kind of application, okay, what kind of the data it want to access. So on the basis of those different data points, you have to give someone the access, okay, you have to verify explicitly on the basis of the different data point that is there, right, including your user identity, location, devices, service or workload, data classification, and anomalies as well. Then number two, least privilege access. So we have to limit, on the basis of this, we have to limit the access of the user. Okay, so if a user only required, there was, let's say, a virtual machine running. So a user only need to check whether it is in the running state, whether it is in the stopped state, whether it is in the deallocated state, whatever state it is. That user doesn't require to interact with this machine in a way that it can start it or delete it. So I will try to give it only kind of a read kind of a permission, that you are only a reader. You can just see the state of machine, but you cannot change it. So if a user, let's say that username is your Vishant. Okay, so if user's name is Vishant, so what I'm giving Vishant the permissions of the read only, that just read it, that's it. Okay, do not change it or anything. Your task is not requiring to interact with this machine. So for that user, I will be only giving that permission. Okay, that is the least privilege access. And then third is going to be the your assume breach. So segment access by network, user, device, and application. Plus, because I'm assuming there could be a breach. So if I have a data to protect, right? So data could be either, you must have or heard about the three state of data, in data at rest, data in use, and data in transit, right? Three state. So I will try to go and imply the encryption over the data. Plus, I will try to, because I'm assuming breach, I will keep monitoring, I will get visibility on my resources, services. I will, keep monitoring them. I will try to detect any threat there, and I will try to improve my security on the basis of the result. So on the basis of these three things, you will try to provide the security. These three are your guiding principle, which will be guiding for the security. Now, when we talk about the zero trust model, all the different elements, they work together. There are the different elements, going to be there, and all of those elements are going to work together to provide you end-to-end security. And those elements which are going to work together are these six different, one, two, three, four, five, six. These are your six different your element, and they will be coming together. Like someone is having some identity, what they will do, they will try to log in. Now, sorry, on the basis of which device they want to log in, right? It will be running a very specific applications. That application and that user identity combined on that particular device will be having access to a very limited kind of the data over there, and that device and all this data will be part of a very specific, let's say, running a very specific infrastructure, part of an infrastructure which is connected by a different network, where you'll be having different solution applied. So all these things will be coming together. So first thing is identity. So nowadays, guys, identity is not only limited to the your users only. So if I will be talking about just a quick overview of identity, so identity which can be of any user, of any device. Even if you're working right now, with some security solution or application security or any cloud security, you will be familiar. Even for an application, we give that application also an identity, right? So when any identity will try to attempt to access any resource, you need to verify it with the very strong authentication, and you need to follow that least privilege access process over there. Then most of the attacking surfaces will be created by the device. It give attacker the large attack surface, right? So as data is flowing from device to on-premise workload and to the cloud as well, so you need to monitor those devices for health and the compliance issues, all right? So you have to keep monitoring that particular device. Then application are the way that how you are going to consume the data. So it include, first it means you need to verify that what kind of applications are allowed, right? So if you have heard something like the one term which is called your shadow IP, right? Means, let's say that you have, your organization is not allowing you to install the let's say Teams, but you install the Teams. So that application, so this is called your, shadow IP. Okay, so you try to manage the application centrally, that what should be allowed and what should not be allowed on the systems over there. Okay, and if someone wants to connect with Teams on, your organization network, a device want to connect and it has the Teams, you will ask that device just uninstall it and then come and connect to a network. So this will be the, bit of the way of the applications. Then the data, the data that you have, it should be properly, classified. Okay, it should be properly labeled that this is the, public data, this is private data, this is what kind of data. Okay, what category it belong to, GDPR, it is, it should be compliant based on the GDPR, because what kind of data it is, what is its privacy level, on the basis of that you will allow someone to access or view it, right? Not everyone should be having access to the data. Then there will be coming your infrastructure, whether it is on premise or the cloud base. So it represent a threat vector, and to improve your security you need to assess for the different version configuration. And you have to, in Azure we have to, limit the access to the infrastructure. Like in Azure, when you have to access the VM, we try to control it with the something, a property which is just in time access, which is, if you have all the necessary permission, you can request a RDP connection on a specific port, but that will be allowed only for 3 hours or 2 hours, whatever you like, right? So that kind of thing you will be applying. And this will allow you to automatically block or flag any risky behavior, so that you can take some proactive, protective action against them. And then there come the network, the basic of the network. Like network should be segmented, it should include deeper in network micro segmentation, and it also have the real-time threat protection, end-to-end encryption, monitoring and analytics should be employed onto the your particular network over there. Now we'll be talking more about the identity access and the different management solution. So when we are talking about the attacks, what can be the attacks on the identity? It could be a password based attack, it could be a phishing. Phishing had different types: spear phishing, there is whaling, okay, there is your smishing, there is going to be your wishing attack. When someone is trying to do as phishing attack via the SMS or voice, those become your smishing wishing. When the target is your Fortune 500 companies, CEOs, CTOs, those C-level executive big whales, those are called whaling. And then spear phishing, a specific person or a group of a person which you are targeting, that is going to be the your attack. Then not only these are the threat, but there are the threat that someone has leaked your password, right? There are the threat that someone has, by the phishing or by any other method, they have got the, some of the password. And when we do talk about the, those brute force of password based and dictionary based attack, so here, sometimes people use very simple password like here, which is easily guessable, right? So, actually the password was the most used password from last, I think, few years, right? People is using password as the password. Okay. Now, when we are talking about the, your security, now identity is becoming your new security. So what is happening in all this particular scenario? Okay, so first thing is, I have written over here as well that identity is becoming the new security parameter. Why? Let's just take a very simple example over here. So I can see here the Utkarsh. So let's say Utkarsh cleared an interview, Utkarsh goes ahead and Utkarsh joined, for example, your Microsoft itself. Okay. So first thing that Microsoft will be doing, Microsoft is going to give the one identity to the, your Utkarsh, right? So whenever, when we talk about the term of identification, so it is a process by which a claim is going to be made about the nature of particular entity. So, what Utkarsh may be having. So organization may be giving him a particular, what I would say, a badge, right? So, having his name, a badge is there, RFID activated, a username and password is being created for him. Let's say Utkarsh @Microsoft.com, right? MS internal, Microsoft internal, something like that. A username is being used over there. An identity is being provided to the Utkarsh. Now, that will be the administration's task that, onboarding, offboarding process should be closely monitored. If someone is leaving your organization, you need to properly administrate that yes, that you have removed that user. If someone new is joining in, it is your task to create an identity for that user and give that user all the permission that is required over there. So there are four pillars of your identity itself. First is the proper administration should be over there, right? So sometime you might have to invite the guest user, right? So you must have seen we have the concepts nowadays like the federation, okay, where you might be inviting. Microsoft is working a project with the SolarWinds, so they are inviting, rather than creating a new account for them, you are inviting them, right? That they are the guest user and create based on their identity. Let's say that Anil is here. I can read our name, Anil. So Anil @SolarWind. So that ID is being created with the Microsoft for the future purpose till the point then when this project is going on. So proper administration should be over there. Now, the identity could be provided to your employee, to the partners, customers, even as I was talking about the devices, on-premise apps, cloud app. Everyone can have an identity. So first is properly, giving them a particular identity, okay, making that, managing that. Second is the authentication. So authentication is a method of validating a particular entity's or any individual's identity and even the unique credentials. So authentication concentrate on identifying that if a particular individual has the right credential to enter in a system or to a secure site. So whenever you are entering those username and password, right, verifying, it is verifying you that you have entered the correct username or password or not. That is the authentication. Okay, so those credentials, first of all, this username password which is assigned to the Utkarsh, it should be kept here, safe. First of all, Utkarsh should be keeping this safe over here, right? Do not share this thing with the anyone else. It is a confidential information. Now in the authentication there are different factors that is involved. So I'm pretty much sure some you guys must have heard about these terms. Something you you know have, right? So like have, you also have something you know. So what you know the password and something you have, let's say that your phone, right? So in the phone or RSA token you have, it has the what, your uh, token, password, OTPs that is coming, authenticator app. So something you have. Now something is something you are. So means I'm talking about the biometrics over here, right? That I'm just using my fingerprint, my retina scan, these kind of things. So something you are. Then there is, one very important thing based on the geolocation, which will be like somewhere you are, right? Or you are not. Okay, two different conditions. Why? Let's say that I'm saying if a particular person, you can use my resources when you are in the your UK only then. So if you are in UK, you can use it, or somewhere you are not, right? Or I can create a blacklist of the locations as well. Like if your traffic is coming from Russia, from Ukraine, from let's say your Turkey. So I'm just blocking these locations, Afghanistan. So different places I'm just blocking, right? So somewhere you are not. And one a bit different thing, but you might be familiar with this one, something you do. So what you do? So remember in window we have that picture password. So only I will know that there, first let's say that there is a bird, right? Although guys, my drawing is pretty much bad. I'm just trying to create a doodle for that bird. Okay, so here, so if you will see, let's say that I have to, there is some eye. Okay, so first I need to tap on eye, then I need to tap on, its beak, then on its left foot, right, and then on its tail. And this is my pattern to open a particular page. So something you do, like establishing a keystroke pattern, like how you are typing a particular paragraph, what you do. So these kind of things are my authentication factors, which you can use with the authentication to make sure that the identity that is given to you, kind of a double check that you are making over there, that you can employ multi-factor authentication over there. Okay, then another pillar in the identity is going to be your authorization. So authorization is process of determining what right and privilege a particular entity has. Okay, it is equivalent to a security guard checking the guest list at and very exclusive gathering was going on. Let's say that your country's president hosted a dinner for the athletes, right? And you are not an athlete, so you will not be allowed over there. So unless I am an athlete, I have that permission, I cannot go into that particular place, right? Authorization is similar to that particular event, very specialized. So even I am the member of, let's say, the presidential palace, right? But unless I have a very specific permission to go to that event, I am not allowed to do that, right? So uh, simply, like if you just log in, you have that your RFID card, you tap it on the your office gate, you go inside your office. You are not just simply gonna go ahead and sit on the CEO chair unless you are CEO, right? And start ordering people, because you don't have that authority. So from there you have the authorization. And the very last thing, the last pillar of that identity is going to be your auditing. So I should be able to track that what particular user was doing. Okay, so when I am talking about the, let's say there was the user. Okay, I can see Anita over here. So Anita was the user. So Anita goes ahead, created a user, give that user the permission, right? So I should be able to trace what Anita was doing, right? So Anita tried to access some file or attach some file, which is classified, the data which was classified as the your sensitive information, SPI, that attached to an email. So these kind of things I should be able to trace that what that particular identity was involved with. So this is going to be the the four pillars of your identity over there. Okay, so these things should be properly over there. Now in cloud, what is happening nowadays, everyone is providing IAM section, okay, to properly implement the identity who can access or not. But one of the best implementation that I have seen is the Azure's Active Directory, which has the features like your on-prem AD if you are working with, right? Lot of features it can have, and yes, I know that there are different license that you might have to purchase to get the full access or get the full features of this Azure Active Directory. So this Azure Active Directory, it is called your AAD. Okay. So anywhere you will see someone referring to this thing. So that would be an Azure's Active Directory. So it is Azure AD is Microsoft cloud-based identity and access management service. So it gives you the features to like enable the multi-factor authentication, work with this something which is called conditional access policy, which can just simply improve the resources. It can just improve the experience. Like it has the features like privileged identity management. It has the features like conditional access policy. It has the features like your identity protection, where Microsoft will be running its own AI and machine learning and detect if some suspicious activity was going on or not. Right? Someone tried to log in from some suspicious location or some IP address who tried to log in on your account, okay, and that IP address is known for some suspicious activity like associated malware or with a botnet. So those kind of things are going to be features which you can use with the different licensing if you have over there. Like if I simply talk about the multi-factor authentication feature in the Azure, so you will be seeing there are two options like password and passwordless. Okay, so in the passwordless we have the Windows Hello option, authenticator app you can use, or Fido 2 is also available. While password and additional verification, you have the option to receive a phone call with the password. A simple password you can choose with the password, and additional means multi-factor you can choose like someone call you, okay, and tell you the one-time password of your. You can use Microsoft Authenticator app, and you can use OAuth with the software and hardware based tokens as well, right? So and plus in addition to that, whenever you will be creating the for user, if you will be setting up a password, you will be giving, let's say, user a temporary password. Now first time when user will be logging in, that user will be asked that do you have to change the password, and if that user is using some bad password, Microsoft is not going to allow him to create that kind of a password. It will be saying that it is a very common password, change the password. It will be asking it to go ahead and work with the some better password itself over there. In addition to that, you will be always having the option to enable the multi-factor authentication in the Azure AD itself. Now guys, so what I will be doing just to show you that where this is in the portal, let me just show you something. Okay, let me just log in into the my Azure account over here, and let me just show you that how this is going to work. Okay, so just give me a second. I'm just going to pause my screen. Okay guys, so this is the login page that you will be seeing right now in front of you. I'm just gonna go ahead and just log in with my demo account. Okay, let me just do the sign in. Okay, so I just keep getting the page like we are updating term and condition. So I think Microsoft is going to update some term and condition. You might have seen this on your Outlook account nowadays, right? That we are updating the term and condition. So once you will be logged in, so why I'm choosing this account is because this is a demo account and I have activated a premium P2 license over here. So if you will be going in here at the portal menu, there is going to be this Azure Active Directory which you can open. And like I was saying that whenever a new user will be joining in, we will be creating an identity for that particular user. So here I can create a new user over here, and in here what I'm going to do, let's say for this I can see one name here, Adnan. Okay, So I'm going to create one account for the Adnan. I will be giving the name here. Okay, like this. And let it be like auto-generated password for now. Okay, if you want to see this thing, to see this password, okay, you can go ahead, and if you want to create, that's good. If not, you can go with the auto-generated password, copy it, paste it somewhere safe, and work with it, right? Save this thing, copy it, paste it, and save this thing over there. So you will be having the one account. So I'm just gonna go ahead and save it in some text file in my system, so that in future, if I go ahead and need to use this user for any more testing, it will be helpful. So you can go ahead and create a account here. Plus, you can see you can attach it to the group, to the a job info, all these kind of things over here. So you can just go ahead and click on create, and you created a new user onto the Active Directory itself. Now, if I will show you my license over here, so all product, I am having this Azure AD Premium P2 license, which I have assigned to myself. Now, as I'm having the Premium P2 license, it will be giving me the features to go ahead and enable some other things, okay? Like it is going to give me the option to go to the security and enable the multi-factor authentications over here. Okay, so we are going to talk about these kind of a thing. So this is the multi-factor authentication, this security page here. I'm having this option of conditional access, okay? So here you can go on to the, use the features like identity protection, conditional access, these kind of a thing. And, you can go ahead and there will be this multi-factor authentication. I can go ahead and configure the multi-factor authentication for my people who are working over here. I can go to the user. I can, right now, everyone is having like a disable. I can go ahead and I can just simply enable any one of this, enable the multi-factor authentication for this particular user. Now, when this user will be logging in, it will be given some option. Do you want to use, phone call option, or do you want to use authenticator app? These kind of a things it will be asking from you itself, right? So this will be the multi-factor authentication option that you will be seeing onto the cloud, right? So this is the one thing. The second one is going to be the your conditional access policy. So like, remember what I was telling you in the identity part when I was discussing whole this thing over here, that when someone is trying to log in, so you will be asking them that from where you are logging in, use the features like from where you are logging in, what you are. So in here in Azure, with the premium P2 license, you have one more option that you can use such kind of things, right? And those things are called signals. Means who is your user, in which location that user is, right? Then which kind of device that user is using, what kind of application that user is using to log in or to access. If this device is either Android, MacBook, iPhone, okay, whatever it is, where you are, you have the option of define some location as the trusted one as well, right? And then Microsoft's AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, they detect some real-time risk, okay? Like, they will be detecting if your password has been, a username password has been part of a breach or not, or someone has tried to, do the brute force attack on you. So that real-time risk, based on that, there will be a matrix, which this is not in our control, but you can use this feature as well, decide that if, let's say, one day Utkarsh is trying to go ahead and log in, whether you are directly going to allow him the access to the apps or data, or you will be asking him to first do the multi-factor authentication, or block the access of that particular user. This is just simply up to you. And again, remember, this is something that is your premium P2 license. So if I will taking you back to the default directory under the security option, okay, and to the conditional access policy, here You can go on to the something like this conditional access policy. Here I have already created few policies, so I can pick any one of them. So here you can see I can define for which particular user you want to apply it. I have selected one user over here that for this user it should be applied this policy. If that user is using one app which is Azure Management Portal, so if you'll be selecting, there will be a list of the application app itself. Like if they are using Office 365, different options over here. Skype for Business Outline, Windows Defender ATP, 365 Exchange Online, and you can create your own app, register your own apps as well. So that option, okay. Then there will be the conditions, okay, different conditions. Like if that user is using something like Android, iOS, Windows Phone, Mac OS, Linux, okay, which location that particular user are. I can define the location, what is trusted, what is not. There is, this sign in risk level, user risk level, that is that real-time data, real-time risk level data that I was talking about, which is not in our control. But if Microsoft is saying, there is a severity of low, high, medium, right? On the basis of that, I can select, right, that what location, client app, what you are using. On the basis of that, I can simply decide whether to block the access completely or to grant the access, okay. And in the grant, what you can do, multi-factor authentication do you want to do, or your device should be marked compliant. So if your device is going to be marked compliant, you might be using a tool like Microsoft Intune, where your device will be marked as the compliant, or you have done the hybrid AD join of the device which you are using. So these are the multiple options that is always there, right? So you can use them, select them, create the policy on the basis of that, what you want to do over here. So these things are always going to be available on the conditional access policy. And remember, this is a very specific features of the Azure AD Premium P2. And there are multiple other features, which is helping you over there in the identity governance, which will be helping you to check that this one. And in the PIM, you can define that to a user, if I want to make someone the password administrator, so that password administrator role should be like should be available only for 1 year. And in the 1 year, every time someone he wants to become password admin, he will only become only for 8 hours. So if my working shift is from the 10 to 4 or 3, so for that 8 hour I will be the password admin. Then next day I will come to the job again, activate this rule for 8 hours, and this practice I can repeat for 1 year. When 1 year will pass, I will be no longer have the option to make myself password admin, right? Plus this identity protection which we have seen, I was talking about, based on the real-time risk, that whether someone bot is using IP which is known for the botnet or malware, they are trying to access your user account, your user account data has been leaked. So that kind of the feature is also there, which will be detecting the threat level, either the low, medium, or high, okay. And then you have this access review. Access review is available in the identity governance and PIM both. Means if a user is working for 13 years in your Microsoft, so over the time working with the different project, different permission, accessibility, authorization has been given to that user. So every time you need to go and check its access, you do need to do access review, that any user doesn't have any unnecessary your permission. Like Utkarsh over the time collected the roles like password admin, user admin, okay, your global admin, and different things. While I just concluded that currently Utkarsh only require one rule, that is user admin. Rest of the these accesses I will be revoking. So that become access review. So that thing also will be the part. If you will simply searching, okay, let's just go to home, and if you have this is the identity governance option. Here you can create a particular policy, right? policy for the identity governance. And then same, this is the PIM, privileged identity management. For Azure AD and your Azure resources, you can create this same thing. And using the identity, what you can do, you can control the IAM part, access. So where one should, who should be having the access to the VM, who should be having the access to the any other resource. So these kind of the access you can control from this particular places as well. Now, right now I am having no resource, but in each resource you will be having the power to go ahead and work and give someone. Only the Utkarsh can have the access to VM, not the Santosh, not the Shivratna, right? These things are also the part over here, right? So these features are also available with your identity. So these all things are implemented with the help of your identity, and your identities will be defined in the active directories, right? So this is the bit of the idea regarding the identity, what challenges we have, what kind of solutions we have nowadays, what is the identity, its pillar, what challenges we have, and how we can implement bit of the identity features that we have around the globe as a solution for this problem itself. So guys, this was the your webinar on the identity, which is rising as a new security pillar over here. So thank you for joining this short, I know this is a very short webinar. So I welcome all of you for this particular kind of the webinar.